Vote for me and I'll set you free.
Free is just another word for nothing left to lose. Over me.
All right, folks, you certainly know what that theme song means by now. That's right. It's time for another episode of America Matters. I'm your host today, Leo Zaki, and joining me, as always, is the great Eddie Floyd there in studio.
One, in my opinion, gubernatorial candidate for the state of California who has been doing such an unbelievable job. Joining me today because he wanted to is Paul White, who wanted to talk a little bit about education. And I also have some product that was sent to me to ask Leo some questions about when he gets on, if he's able to get on, because right now you'll notice we didn't even have a theme song today. And also, I hope he does get on because this will give he and I the opportunity to continue talking without a single solitary commercial because we can't even run the commercial computer because of the default that took place yesterday when the power blew up everything in the studio. Okay, and I didn't learn about it until I came in today and learned about it, but it's okay because a good governor, I don't care what state it is, a good governor is going to take care of any and every problem as they raise their ugly head, right, Paul?
Absolutely, Eddie.
You know, and I'll tell you something, Paul, you've dedicated basically your life to education. Let's do this, okay, as we wait for Leo to come on, okay, in prayer that he does come on,
Oh, he will.
but tell me what's going on. I've heard rumors throughout the community about a big debate that's about to take place.
Well, there is. The first thing that broke last week was what they call the NAEP reading scores, and those are tests that every student in the United States takes.
Right.
And Nevada's went down, still lower. So right now we're sitting with a overwhelming majority of our students are functionally illiterate as far as reading, Eddie.
Unbelievable.
What can you
Now,
teach
we
somebody?
talking about like eighth graders with third grade reading capabilities?
I believe that tests fourth, eighth, and 11th. So
Wow.
right across the board. Yeah.
Wow.
Not good.
Not good at all. Not good at all. And I also want you to do this. I know, like me, you're a big Leo Zaki supporter.
Absolutely.
That being said, when you get speaking engagements in California, I understand that you plan to promote Leo Zaki at that same time.
I look forward to it. I think that as far as education goes, um, Leo certainly sees that as a priority for the governorship. And I think the potential voters in California would really support his program for how to improve our schools.
Right, right.
And, Leo knows that they have to get there. They have to be on time. They have to be clean and sober. They have to be respectful. They have to work. Simple enough. But Leo has pledged that this is what he's going to make happen. And so far, current governor and the ones before him hasn't happened.
The current governor is, and let me say it kindly, an idiot. Okay.
Yeah, that's being kind.
That I'm being very kind when I say that Gavin Newsom, in my mind, I've done this for 48 and a half, almost 49 years now.
Good God.
And I've never, ever seen a governor as out of sync with the population of his state as Gavin Newsom is.
Well, it's just all out of just selfishness. I mean, you saw these recent fires. The fire hydrants were running empty and things, and Newsom's been in there for far too many years. And you see Trump came out to visit him and said, "You need to turn the spigot on." And Newsom saying, "Oh, I don't know what he means." Or so. Well, they opened those dams up there and they got water flowing today.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. And let me tell you, I'm glad you brought Trump up. I've been watching him all morning long. Okay. He is phenomenal. He has done more in the last, I'm going to give it a break. I'm going to give him a break. In the last 10 days,
absolutely.
he has done more than Biden has done in his entire administration and the administration when he was vice
And
president
his whole career as a politician.
and his entire career as a politician.
Yeah, no, it's if you miss the news, if you don't check in several times a day, you miss out what's going on. Things are changing so fast. But
Right.
no, Leo with education would be excellent. He'd be fair with teachers, but he'd also tell them, you got a right to unionize and things like that. But if you're going to negotiate and living wages, then you need to produce.
Right. And it's just as simple as that. One thing that I've got to share with you because I've had the honor, thanks to Leo, I've had the honor of actually meeting Donald Trump, our president, and it truly is an honor because
I don't know
what
if I
he.
can hear anybody.
Yeah, there he is. He's here right now.
Hello, Leo.
Hey, I'm here. I'm here. I am here, but I got to run out of the car here in
That's
a second.
okay.
So
Well, let me tell you, you ride in the car for as long as you
Give me-
want to. This show's all about our friend and the next governor of California, Leo Zaki.
thank you. Thank you. All right, you guys take over for this first segment here, and I'll be back.
If you break up a little bit, just we'll try it again because the whole show you didn't get a chance, or maybe you did hear what I said. No lead-in theme song today, and there'll be no breaks in today's show whatsoever, Leo. So you come and go as you please because this show's all about ready the next governor for the state of California, or we're in trouble, Paul. We're in trouble.
I agree.
And I'm not just talking about you with your preference on education. We're in trouble right on down the line.
Everything.
I mean, look what took place on the 101 last night. Okay. Have you ever seen? Now, let me tell you what. Ron DeSantis, and I'm sorry to use it because yes, I was born and raised in Florida, but Ron DeSantis would have had most of those people in jail by now.
Like that.
Just like that. Okay. And it's amazing.
They had a speaker on the news last night, a guy whose family's Latin American origin. I believe his parents were from Mexico. And this guy was going on. He said, it makes me sick. I see everybody waving all these flags from other countries. He said, go down to any of those other countries and start waving the American flag around and see how well received that is.
See how long.
He says if they love it so good that they want those flags, nothing keeping them from going back to those countries.
Yeah, so long as you live,
Well, plus, you'll like this one, and I'm sure this is another thing Leo would address. If you come into this country, Eddie, like they've been pouring in through Biden, you know what they'd get? They'd get free rent, free food, free transportation, free everything. Take a guess if you get caught entering Mexico illegally, what you get?
A prison. A
Up
gulag.
to 2 years in prison and $5,000 fine. First time. Second time, don't even think about it.
Oh, man, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's frightening when you think about the way they're treated in Mexico. Now, Mexico said, no, we're not going to play ball. We're not going to play ball. We're not going to play ball. Then all of a sudden, the president, she started yelling, play ball.
Right. Well,
Okay.
have you noticed Canada's the same way?
Yeah.
Trudeau spent all his time. Trudeau was on his way getting run out of office anyhow. Spent the last day or so talking about how tough they were going to reciprocate with us on tariffs until all of a sudden he announced he's meeting with Trump this evening.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. No,
Let me tell you what. I don't think, and if you've ever read his book, The Art of the Deal,
I know. I need to read it.
you need to read that because let me tell you what, he practices what he preaches in that book. Believe me, and to him, the president of you name the country, I don't care, Honduras, Nicaragua, you name it. To him, that president is nothing but the head of another big business. Okay,
right.
Because government is a big business. And sadly, the biggest money makers that all governments have are military and health, period.
Right.
And that's one thing that Leo and his group are going to address. And I'm looking forward to that because we've got a lot of things. But you've been watching the same stuff I have because all of a sudden you think, uh, has he has he really flipped his wig or something when he says, "You become the 51st state of the United States of America, Mister Trudeau." Okay, and he called him Mister Trudeau. Okay, and I just loved it. You know,
Oh no, he's excellent. Well, it's funny. It's like I'm sure I'll bet it's in some form in his book. I was a concrete contractor, Eddie, and of course the bane of pouring concrete for people is it cracks, right?
right?
So you get a lot, but part somewhat cracking is normal in concrete. But so a guy one time was telling me how he handled it, a contractor, and he said somebody call him all excited and say, "Oh my gosh, my concrete is cracking," and he says, I would say to them, "Well, is it crumbling yet?" And they'd go, "Oh my gosh, no." He goes, "Well, you've got nothing to worry about. Call me back if it starts crumbling."
Oh
Well,
man,
Trump, like he says to Trudeau, there, we're gonna do all this. We're gonna put the or we're gonna. You'd be a good 51st state. All of a sudden, just simply keeping the fentanyl stop sounds like a pretty good deal.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Think about it for a minute.
Did you know that's the leading cause of death among 18 to 49-year-olds in America?
In America,
I did not know that.
I did not know that,
Fentanyl.
but I did read it. Okay,
Yeah.
I did read that it was number one cause
Unbelievable.
of death. And by the way, what you're talking about, they showed the bag, and they said, "See this bag?
Kill a million people or
They,
whatever.
they said if this bag was utilized properly and distributed properly, it would kill up to 2 to 3 million people."
That's unbelievable.
And I'm sitting there going, man, oh man, thank God. And when I say this from the bottom of my heart and with the sign of the cross on my chest. Ready? Thank God for Donald John Trump.
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
You know?
Well, another thing they announced today, and again, I think Leo would see as governor just on a small scale, like this. When you're a governor, you're like basically the president of that little country.
Sure.
And so this one thing, Trump has just put a pin in right now, what's called U.S. aid, all the foreign aid we give out.
Mm-hmm.
And people are saying, "Oh, what do you mean all these countries, 120 countries?" And the president of El Salvador, who's done such a great job in just wiping the gangs off the face of there,
Right.
he said, "Oh no, this is a great move by Trump." He said, over the past many years with these other presidents, 90% of the money they send to a country, they give to the opposition.
Wow.
90%. He says the government in power trying to improve the country has been getting maybe 10%. He says it's like they're trying to manipulate who they want in power.
Right. Right.
And Leo, I'm sure, would do a similar thing with counties and cities that cooperated with what needs to be done, would get support, and those that don't would need to fall in line.
That's right. They better fall in line. Let me tell you something about Leo. One of the reasons why it took me 47 and a half years, and I've interviewed everybody. But when I interviewed Dean Heller when he was an assemblyman, before he was Secretary of State, before he was a congressman, before he was a senator. I'm just using him as one of many, many, many examples, like Mark Amaday, etc. First time I interviewed him, they were assemblymen. But I've got to tell you, when it comes to I've never endorsed anyone, and Dean and his wife Lynn and their kids would come out and have paintball wars, okay, at the ranch, okay. And my wife finally came out there and shook her finger at Dean, Senator Heller, and said, "If I find one more orange spot on one of my cows, I'm going to kill you."
Right, right.
And she meant every word of it.
Oh yeah. No, it's I mean, going right down the line, Newsom waited to do anything about the water until Trump came and humiliated him there. Leo, I think, would be definitely proactive on these things.
Oh God, yes. He would be really proactive.
Cell service here.
There he is, as a matter of fact.
Hey, Leo.
Leo, can you hear us now?
Hey, sorry. Yeah. Sorry, I get bad cell service where I'm at. We're working on it.
That's okay. And if we lose you again, just do what you're doing. Come back in. I've got some wonderful questions that I want you to take the lead with. Okay. I would like to talk about. Okay, I'd like to talk about, if you don't mind. Let's get in, because there'll be no commercials until the top of the hour, and we're just going to keep talking. But how about giving me, because we were just talking about what we witnessed on the 101 last night, okay?
Oh
And I'm
yeah,
sitting there, I said that wouldn't happen with Leo Zaki.
no way. That kind of
No.
behavior is totally unacceptable. You
Right.
know, they're blocking. You know, you have a right as a citizen to not have your be impeded with your travel like that, and for them to protest like that is totally egregious. I understand they want to bring attention to what they're upset about, but the reality is they're defending criminals. And then I really hate the fact that I'm seeing all these Mexican flags and Salvadorian just flags from all these other countries that aren't America. Well, if you want to
Right.
wave that flag so much, why don't you go and go back to the country you came from that you're so proud of. Look, if you don't
Right.
love,
Yeah.
if you don't support the country you live in, then go live in the country you support. Because if it ain't here, then you don't need to be here, and you shouldn't be here if you're illegal anyways, because you've broken the law. And I understand people come here for a better life, and there's things that are really bad in their country, and there's a whole host of reasons for why they leave. But let me tell you something: the folks that founded this nation, they went up against the strongest military in the entire world. Okay.
Amen.
And they put their lives on the line, and they said, you know what, we're going to do this because we believe in freedom and it's the right thing to do. And we know that we can lose our lives, we can lose our families, we can lose everything we own, our farms, our businesses, everything. And they said, you know what, screw it. This is too damn important. We're going to do it anyways. So freedom is really worth fighting for. And if you're not willing to fight for it, you know, maybe then you don't deserve it. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying, but what I'm
Yeah.
also saying too is, if there's problems down there in these other countries, and don't get me wrong, Mexico is 100% a globalist controlled narco state. Much of Latin America is as well. Um, I'm more than happy to have people from that country come to our country and say, look, we've got a problem. And we go down there and do what the red, white, and blue does best, kick some ass,
Yep. And that.
and I'm not
Yep.
saying we need to install a globalist dictator, but
Right.
I certainly think that we need to make sure that we have, people living well around the world. So
Well, would you agree with me when I say this to everybody watching us on AUN television and listening to us on Salem Network, Answer Network, Kevin Jackson Network, LaRue Press, and it goes on and on, Radio for America? Would you agree with me that when it's being tough, like a real tough dictator, we've got that with Donald Trump?
well, he's not. I wouldn't say a tough dictator. I would just
No,
say
no, yeah,
velvet. I would say velvet glove, iron fist for sure. But
Okay.
most importantly, common sense. I mean, look, he has to push back against all the horrible policy that's been in place for the last 4 years, on top of all the crap that they did to undo the stuff that he put in place in his first 4 years. What they've been doing is so counterintuitive and so detrimental to the country and we the people that there is a lot he has to do, and he's using his executive order ability to get it done. And you know what, he, in the power of the presidency, has the authority to do that, and God bless him for using it, because
yep,
it just goes to show you that the change that we need to make happen in our government and in our country, it doesn't take years and progress and bureaucracy and back and forth, and oh, it's such a complicated thing. No, it doesn't. It just takes a firm leader with a mission and a plan who wants to do whatever they're trying to do. And in this case, he's using common sense to bring back everything sane in our country. So that's what
Right.
needs to take place right now.
Well, Leo,
Oh, here, I'm just
somebody's.
real quick. I'm just driving.
Oh
I'm
no,
just
no,
driving.
jump in here.
I'm just driving by where that little fire was in the Sepulveda Pass. Now I just want to figure I'd show
uh-huh,
that one off to you guys real quick
okay.
as I go by. I don't know if you can see it well enough or not. But yeah, that arson started that one. Because we got all these criminals here. We got all these dang criminals.
Damn.
Yeah. Well,
And they've been emboldened.
somebody said one time, Leo, nothing surprises people so much as common sense and plain dealing. And if you look at Biden, an entire lifetime without a real job, politics as early as he could jump in. You go back 12 of the last 16 years, so 8 of those years were Obama. What was his job? An activist, whatever that is. I'm not sure who writes the paycheck for those things. And so
What?
Trump to me has been so successful, and I think I think that'd be you too, is you you understand there's just certain things that work and things that don't in business.
I think Obama called himself a community organizer.
Community organizer.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Basically, just a Marxist indoctrinator.
Right.
I mean, look,
But-
they're getting their money from the bad powers that be that want to destroy this country and others around the world. So that's where their money comes from. But getting back to these illegal aliens and them blocking the freeway like that, like that's unacceptable. That's really, really unacceptable behavior. I'm
Amen.
all for a fine protest, a normal, peaceful, not burning down cities protest, like a normal, like you got your signs and your chant and all that stuff. Don't get me wrong, like I know a lot of it can seem like it's futile and like why are people doing that? Like, just saber rattling, but I get it. Showing numbers like that, that's why we all turned up to January 6th, to show our support for Donald Trump and what we thought was a fraudulent election, which it was. And I can't wait for that to all be revealed that was 100% true, because I know he's going to revisit that during his presidency, no doubt about it. But the fact that the illegals are here and they're showing support for their native country and not waving American flags, talking about not wanting to get deported. Look, I get it. Nobody wants to get deported, because you came here out for a reason. You spent the time and the energy and the money, and it's not an easy journey. I get that. But we have rules in this country. We need to know who people are, because there are drugs coming across the border with these people, and that's killing Americans. All the fentanyl pouring in across the border is killing Americans to the tune of over 100,000 a year because of that.
Unbelievable.
People, all the children and the women that are being raped as they are brought into this country illegally and then trafficked into slave labor and sex slavery. That's because we have an open border and we don't know who the hell is coming in here. So yeah, everybody's got to go home. And if you want to come back the right way, and we'll get to you. And don't get me wrong, we should have a better process for people coming here. But the reality is we can't take everybody. Just because you apply doesn't mean you guaranteed to get in. It should be far more stringent than it has been in the past.
Right. Well, Leo, what did you think about if there was something that they said, I missed it, but when they were having these huge blocking the freeway there yesterday, I didn't find one word that Bass, the mayor, or Newsom, I didn't see one word that either one said. Did you?
Because they're supportive of this. They are enabling this. Okay. You should not have people on the freeway like that. As soon as we knew there was a protest going on, you should have had all the cops out there kicking their ass off the freeway, bring in the tear gas, get them the hell out of there. You got to pick up. They're going to sit themselves down on the freeway or glue their hands to the street, rip them the hell off, get them out of there.
Amen.
Unacceptable behavior, because you're impacted. I get you're upset, but you know what? There's a right way and a wrong way to do it. And you're talking to the group of people that only knows how to do it the wrong way. They came here the wrong way. So of course they're going to protest the wrong way.
Right. And Leo, the other thing that we talked about was that hour conversation that he had with the president of Mexico, that started off with, I'm not going to help. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to take our illegals back. I'm going to allow any and everybody to come across the border. And by the end of that 1 hour conversation, she put 10,000 military on the border.
Right.
10,000.
Amazing, right? But 10,000 is still a drop in the bucket. We'll take it. We'll take the help. We need it. They have a responsibility to do that. I mean, really, they should be working on their southern border as well to prevent that kind of stuff. But, there are folks in Mexico that get there and then go out north. So they have a responsibility to secure that border as well. And if they want to, because look, they're very dependent on American trade, no doubt about it. Like if we shut off trade with them, they would be, world of hurt economically. And it's imperative that they do what we need. Now, I know we're kind of bullying them, but you know what? We're kind of getting screwed in the same light. So it's do the right thing. And if we have to force your hand, we will.
Yep. Well, and it's only going to ratchet up if they don't do something. You probably saw a day or two ago. What was it? They were chasing somebody over on their side, and a landmine went off and blew one of the trucks up. I mean, you talk about, I thought it was on the news. You talk about stepping it up, and it was on their side. But the Mexican president's got to step up, and I think the governor of California, outside of the president, I think the governor of California would have the potential to have the greatest influence on them.
Amen. I think
Well,
Leo
for
and
our border for sure here in California, but
right.
you know, it's been a floodgate that's been left open for a long time here in California because they incentivize it here with the sanctuary city policies, sanctuary state policies, all that garbage. Because this is what the left wants. This is what the Marxists want. They want the cheap labor. They want the people on the welfare. They want to put out the false narrative of the feelings and the helping the people. Look how upright, stand up people we are and righteous we are. It's all crap. It's all crap because the only people getting hurt are American citizens.
Well, Leo, I'd have a question for you. It's the left always tries to make this weepy argument that, well, if we deport all the illegals, I mean, we're not going to be able to pick any produce but your family haven't been in a business that had to hire a lot of people. What do you think?
Yeah.
How would you respond to that?
That's the most insulting argument I ever hear because I've worked those jobs. And I mean, I really worked those jobs. I mean, it is just so disgusting how they say that kind of crap because that's not the case. They're good, honest jobs. And Americans will work those jobs if they're
Right.
available to them. But if you're
Right.
going to have people come in and undercut them from, getting paid, under the table, in cash, like, of course,
Right.
a company's going to do that, skip out on the insurance. Like, and I understand why they do that because the business practices here, especially in California, we are the breadbasket of the world. That's where we're the world's 5th largest economy. It's solely due to our agriculture. It has nothing to do with Hollywood and big tech. It is ag, baby. We are the world's leading producer in strawberries, avocados, almonds, and artichokes for the world.
Right.
And we lead the nation in over 35 different items, including dairy and beef cattle. So yeah, when you have horrible regulations that make it difficult for businesses to be profitable or just stay above water, like they crushed mine, people turn to alternative means to getting what they have to do to stay alive. And I don't blame the companies for doing it because they've been forced into that position. It's not greedy, white slave owner type mentality. No,
Right.
it's literally struggling to stay alive because of arbitrary rules and regulation, because of ridiculously high labor costs, because of the inadequate amount of water, the high prices that come with it, and the power. I mean, just everything. And the taxes. I mean, don't even get me started with the taxes. I mean, they're through the roof. It just destroys that. So I actually have a clip. I'm glad you brought that up of what's his dang name? Jake Tapper talking about this on CNN. So let me pull that up real quick and have his take on it. Because I mean, look, he says it very well, but obviously CNN's gonna try to shut him down. So take a listen.
All right.
A question because one of the reasons that President Trump got elected, according to President Trump in an interview, I think it was with Kristen Welker of NBC, was because of grocery prices. Not the only reason, but a reason: high prices, inflation, especially at the grocery. The Department of Agriculture says that between 2020 and 2022, 42% of crop workers were undocumented immigrants. And in many cases, as you know, these migrants do jobs many Americans do not want to do. So how does President Trump make sure that the effort to deport people who are not in this country legally doesn't end up hurting Americans who want safe borders, absolutely, but also don't want to see even more higher prices in groceries?
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's not your position, Jake. You're just asking the question that exploitative illegal alien labor. I obviously don't think that's what you're implying. Only 1% of alien workers in the entire country work in agriculture. The top destination for illegal aliens are large cities like New York, like Los Angeles, and small industrial towns, of course, all across the heartland, as we've seen with the Biden floods.
Mm-hmm.
None of those illegal aliens are doing farm work. Those 30,000 legal aliens that Joe Biden dumped into Springfield.
I'm talking about the ones that are.
But I'm explaining this. It's important to understand.
No, you're kind of changing the subject. I mean, I'm talking about the ones.
I will give me 30 minutes. I'll go as deep as you want this.
We don't have
you and your audience.
I don't have a third. I'm talking about the ones that work in the agriculture industry.
I'm
you
explaining
can come back
to you
and we
your
can talk
audience.
about the ones in the cities. I swear.
I'll do the whole answer. The illegal aliens that Joe Biden brought into our country are not full stop doing farm work. They are not. The illegal aliens he brought in from Venezuela, from Haiti, from Nicaragua, they are not doing farm work. They're in our cities collecting welfare. As for the farmers, there is a guest worker program that President Trump supports. Over time as well, we will transition into automation, so we'll never have to have this conversation ever again. But there's no universe in which this nation is going to allow the previous president to flood our nation with millions and millions of illegal aliens who just get to stay here. And we are especially not going to allow a subset of those illegal aliens to rape and murder our citizens. So we are going to unapologetically enforce our immigration laws. And as I'm sure you will celebrate, we are going to unleash the power and might of the U.S. government to eradicate the presence of transnational threats on our soil.
So, a question about because
I mean, obviously, you can see him trying to shut him down, but I mean,
right.
those are the facts right there. I don't know how else to make it any more clear. That's why I wanted to play that clip for you guys.
Yeah.
Those are the reality of the situation. That's the numbers.
And you notice it was on the Communist News Network that
Of
has
course.
that only has 20% of its listeners and viewers. Right now they've lost 80% of their listeners and viewers.
Oh yeah, because the election's over. Nobody cares. Nobody trusts them. Nobody trusts them.
Sure. Well, Leo, 20 years ago down in Ventura County, I was in between jobs and I went out for a few days and picked strawberries and jalapenos. And, Oxnard, Ventura County is quite ag.
Oh yeah,
And the guys who were fast at that, like at strawberries, was piecework by the bucket or by the flat for strawberries. And the real fast ones were making $125 a day.
Wow.
And this was 20 years ago when the average guy I knew wasn't making $125 a day.
That's pretty good, actually.
No, it's real. Well,
how many years ago was that?
This would have been about 03.
Oh, that's
no, actually, no. It would have been more than that. It would have been between 91 and 94. So about 90.
Oh my God, a gallon of gas was like barely $1 back then.
Sure. So they were killing. So
that's a good yardstick right there.
125. That's fine. That's 600 a week, 2,500 a month.
I mean, that's more gas than you would need in a month.
Yeah, that was more than the average teacher I was working with was making at that time. And so friends of mine I'd talk to, and they'd say, well, sure, I would do it. And so there would be, when that money was there, and if they would simply have legal workers, whether from Mexico or from the United States, either one, have them legal. This idea that they'd run out of labor, I don't believe that, like you said.
No.
No.
People will if the jobs are available, people will work them. But if you need to hire people under the table and without insurance, that's where the illegals come in.
Right.
And they will undercut American wages by leaps and bounds. And it's only that way because the laws here are ridiculous, because our economy has been ran into the freaking toilet by the Biden administration. And you compound that with extremely high minimum wages because people. So the thing is the people that demand the higher wages don't really understand economics and how this works and how it all, there's a big cycle, and how you don't just pay people more money and they get more money. No, when you pay people more money, the companies have to find a way to compensate. And the only way they can compensate is to take it, after getting hit like that. Because remember, labor is 40% of any company's fixed costs. Costs. You have fixed costs and variable costs. Variable costs are things that, change with availability, like, seasonality, like, artichokes when they're in season are regular price, but when they're out of season for the other 4 seasons or 9 months of the year, right, they're literally 400% more expensive. I know this because we had a family restaurant, we had an Italian restaurant, so I know all this crap. So when your fixed costs go up, that's something that companies don't really factor in when they're doing business. They're more worried and concerned about the variable costs, because that's the one thing that they really can't control. That they can they can sort of control it because they can find a better supplier or this or that. But a fixed cost, that's what it is, and you're stuck with it.
That's right. And Leo, I love this. This comes from a lady that I know very, very well. She's a very nice lady, with the exception of, she's leaning way to the left. And I'd have to say she's very, very woke. Okay. And I keep trying to get her to wake up. But here's what she said, because I'd like you to address this, because to me, It's a personal attack on my dear friend Leo Zaki, who's going to be the next governor of California. She said, I wonder if he was born with that suit on, or did he ever actually get his hands dirty at the chicken industry? And I started laughing. Yeah, I'll let you tell her, Leo. Do we lose him?
Probe.
Anyway, let me start with that.
Well, it's a great question, Eddie, and we've heard Leo share many times. So
Here he is.
here we go.
Hello.
Did you hear the question, Leo? Gosh darn it. Well, you know what? It happens to me when I'm headed to the ranch. You know, parts of the freeway, you just that will lose people. But the question again, Leo, was ready. Did Leo ever work the groundwork to make that chicken industry number one in the state of California, if not the nation? And I said, absolutely. But I'd like him to tell you when he gets back on again, because I think he did everything.
Right. Well, we've heard him share many times that he everything from feeding to cleaning to prepping to marketing
to the
plucking to everything that had to be done.
Well, you know, let's think for a minute, because it is so funny, because Deanne Tate writes, because we were talking about, you know, the fact that, you know, he dresses so handsomely. He really does. And I tell you what, the best dressed guy in Mar-a-Lago when I was there. I'm not joking when I say that. And Deanne Tate writes it says, so funny. His grandfather instilled in him that you dress for the job you want, not the job you have.
That's good. I've heard that. That's good.
Isn't that a good one?
Yep.
You know, Deanne, thank you for that, because you're absolutely right. Tony Garcia writes in and says, good show, gentlemen. And yeah, we know he froze up on us. We hope that he gets back on soon, because we have no commercials. That's the nice thing. We can talk to the top of that. There he is. He's back now. I think we got him back. Either we'll have a clip, or, you know, they asked, did you ever get your hands dirty at the chicken?
Yeah, no, I had a feeling she was taking a shot at that. You know, a lot of people assume I was born with a silver spoon up my butt, but that's not the case. No, it's not, and I'm happy to discuss it. There's videos out there on the internet where I've talked about this. I was interviewed by Dad Talk years ago and talked about this. But look, there's a reason I was raised by my grandparents. I had crappy parents, to say the least.
Right.
And that's the nicest way I can phrase it due to the FCC regulations. You know, I actually had to cut my teeth. I grew up in a home where cars were being repossessed, water and power and gas were being shut off. We didn't really have much food in the house because I had, like I said, crappy parents. I was very malnourished my whole life. And when I finally was, you know, adopted by my grandparents when I was 12 years old, I got a whole new opportunity at life. But it wasn't. I had to earn it and learn it. And I was always around my family business. I would go up to Fresno with my grandfather as a young child and go into the sales office and sit in on meetings and just learn while I could. Um,
It started with him, didn't it, Leo?
well, it's my great grandfather.
Right. Your great grandfather's the one who started it with the first turkey, when somebody came up to get a turkey for Thanksgiving or Christmas or something like that.
Well, my great
story.
grandfather had a small poultry market, but yeah, I had to cut my teeth in the business. I started out as a sales service representative, which really sucks. It just means you have to go to 8 to 12 grocery stores a day, stock the shelves, meet with the store managers and the meat managers, which I actually enjoyed talking with those folks. I really hated cleaning up dirty shelves and all that, and getting in the car and sitting in traffic and going all over crazy. Just kind of what you did.
Well, I tell you what, I could just see the look on your face if you'd have tried to take the 101 last night when you were at work.
Well, Leo, what would you say? Like, say somebody out there, one of those demonstrators or somebody saying, well, I don't want to demonstrate. I want to do what you did, Leo. I want to work my way up and be successful, but it just seems like there's so many unnecessary regulations in California. If we voted for you for governor, how would you make it possible for somebody like me to get going in a business and work my way up and be successful? What would you offer them as a governor?
He might. That's all right. He might be frozen again. It happens. It happens every time I go to the Wynema Ranch. I'll be talking to somebody like Senator Heller or Congressman Amadei, and I'll be talking to them and lose them.
Yep.
For no reason, just I'm in the bad part of the town of the highway. And I think that's what's happened to us. I'll tell you what, though, it's amazing to me because his answers to every question that you and I have posed, Paul, he has that. That's why, for the first time in 47 and a half years, I endorsed a candidate. And that candidate that I endorsed was Leo Zaki for governor of California, because I have yet to meet a politician that's as truthful, okay, as he is, as knowledgeable as he is. And also, if you were to ask him a question and he doesn't know the answer, he'd tell you, I don't know, but let me look it up. But the amazing thing is, we're not talking about like some of the students you and I are talking about. I'll look it up and I'll talk to you next week. He'd look it up and he'd have it for you within the hour.
Right.
Well,
and I hope, Eddie, that as the campaign goes on, that if he simply gets out there among the voters, like I'm sure he's doing, I watched some of the short videos on his website. They're nicely done videos.
Aren't they great?
And I'm sure if he gets out to the voters of California, his thoughts on the immigration issue, the water issue, our schools, the need to give less regulations to our businesses so they can survive. I'm sure if he gets that out there, that people are going to start to really get behind his campaign.
Oh yeah, let me tell you what he's got, and I'm talking about working people. I'm not talking about just somebody who's just puts money out there and says, I want the best of the best of the best. He's got people who do jobs like Jeff, who puts together those videos. Those are some of the very best videos that I have ever seen in my entire life. Okay. He's got, without a doubt, one of the best campaign managers. And believe me, how many have I known in my life? How many have sat right where you're sitting because I had a senator or a congressman or a governor sitting across from me? You see what I mean?
You know what I'd love to see him do? Do you remember, you're a Florida guy, do you remember Lawton Childs?
Sure.
Walking Lawton?
Walking Lawton,
And Leo, if you can hear us.
I hear you.
There you are. Lawton Childs.
I'm going to be going into a canyon here in a bit. I might lose you, but go on.
Yeah. No, Lawton Childs was running for governor, I believe, in California.
Yes, he was.
And he said, he says, I need to see the people. I'm going to walk from Miami up to Tallahassee or the Georgia border and meet them. And, I can't think of anybody else who's ever done it. He did get elected, but as you were going, if you were walking, where they're coming through on the border, in some of these schools that are on fire, and especially Central Valley would be your bread and butter, I would think. And just let them know that thing. I mean, it'd get wonderful coverage. You'd have a wonderful chance to spread your message. And I don't think I can't see Newsom walking too far.
He wouldn't even take a cab that far.
He's not running again. He
can't even run.
Yeah. But look, I've got big plans to be all over the state. Don't you guys worry. I've got plans to do all that. And if you want to be a part of those plans, please reach out and get in touch with Deanne, and she can set up a time for me to come and meet with y'all. If you have a group or an organization that you're a part of and you'd like me to come and speak to y'all, I'm more than happy to do it. It'd be a lot of fun. I'm going to be going to all 58 counties here in California. So
excellent.
It'd be a heck of a lot easier if we could get you on the schedule sooner so we can map it all out appropriately.
Yeah,
that's a great idea.
And by the way, you mentioned Deanne, so I want to say, see, this is the type of thinking I'm talking about. I call him the common sense candidate because she says, why doesn't everyone in California call the governor's office and demand these protesters get arrested? It's illegal to block the freeways. Am I right?
Right.
It is illegal, but he's not going to do it. I mean, go ahead, call. The guy's a complete a-hole. He's not going to do the right thing because he doesn't care about you. He wants this chaos. He wants everything to be, negative because he's an evil person. Look, him and his family and the Browns and the Pelosi's and the Gettys have been running this state for far too long.
Amen.
They gotta
Right?
go. They all gotta go.
Well, as those fires were raging, and they're
Yeah.
asking him point blank, what causes? Who's to blame for this? Well, you notice here, Bass, neither one say, well, we left the reservoir dry. We didn't plan. We had over 50% of our fire engines aren't repaired. You notice they said, well, we're going to form a committee and look into this. Oh, you talk about ducking.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bunch of
Unbelievable.
crap. It's a bunch of crap. They know damn well what caused it, but they want to pretend it was global warming, and that because that's just the reality. It's not global warming. This is human error. This is people not managing the forest. This is not having enough water. This is all the bad things that they've caused.
Right.
Right.
And also the young people with the 5-gallon gas cans in their hand had a part to play in this whole thing too.
Oh yeah, and that started the fire not far from where I am right now. I'm actually in the hills of Calabasas, so right now, so that's where we're at, because we got a lot of stuff to handle.
That was arson, right, Leo?
Yeah, that 100% was arson.
Wow.
Oh, for the Palisades?
No.
I think the Palisades was arson. They're saying the Altadena fire, the Eaton fire was from the power company. I'm not 100% sure about that. I mean, yes, there are the videos of the sparks, so it's very plausible that was the case. I'm not 100% sold on that. I think they really just want to find a scapegoat for it and push the blame off of them, however they can. So,
well, there's such weak laws. Something you might want to think about with your campaign too. With education, everything so ties together. I mean, it's when they've got no education, they've got no plans for their future. These people don't turn out good, wherever they step off the road. When Joey Gilbert was running for governor, Leo, here,
great guy.
I worked on his campaign, wrote a lot of his speeches and whatnot. And we had the focus we had, Nevada schools being worst in the nation, and California's not far behind. And, they had, and I'm sure you have in California too, they have emergency powers so that Joey's first act, he promised on day one. And on our county, won by 33,000 votes. That's why we need to clean up the elections. But he promised on day one, if he'd been elected, that he would declare it an emergency, and the schools certainly justify it, and could have taken over control of public schools and could have picked someone who's had experience turning schools around,
like Paul D. White,
and could send them in there to do it.
I wonder who they could look to for that.
I don't know. Eddie said he's got some space on his calendar.
I got an idea that it'd be someone like Paul D. White.
But I mean, I think Leo, the parents would absolutely jump through the roof if they heard you saying, you bet they're getting taken over on day one, and we're going to just go right through them. And the law here, and I'm sure more so in California, gives you the authority to bring in or move out anybody you want. They're just standing there watching their schools burn, and of course their future workforce,
right,
and et cetera.
Right.
Oh yeah, no, it's all detrimental. Like that's why education's it's such a foundational piece. Anything that happens with changing the schools is going to take us a long time, because it's a 20-year process pretty much.
Yeah. I think you were offline when we were talking about the videos on your website. Those are
yeah,
really,
thank you. Go to leozacki.com.
They're excellent.
Well, more are coming out, so we're actually that's why we're in the car. We're on our way to go shoot some more videos. I've been putting out more, so that's what we're gonna be doing this week. That's why I'm all in the car right now. So
that's
look
great.
forward to some really amazing kick-ass
Leo, this has worked out real well. I'm hoping that you can make tomorrow's a 1-hour show beginning at noon.
Yeah, I will see how that's gonna play out. Unfortunately, that's right when I need to be doing all the filming stuff, and it's very weather permitting situation. So we are going to see what we can make happen this week. I can't guarantee I'll be able to make every show or do both hours on Wednesday and Thursday, but we're going to do our best. I mean, look, I'm literally in the car doing this right now. Like, I mean, for the radio, you can't see it.
And we appreciate it too, and we appreciate Dee. We appreciate Jeff, all the people who are part of the Zacki Army, like now Paul White is.
I'm out front. I'm doing the radio show.
Paul White's going to be talking to some people about education.
Well, we need more. We need to keep education at the forefront of all our conversations.
Oh, yeah. You know, let me drop this last thing on it. We found out during Joey's campaign, we were looking, to talk about water, just like California's situations like Nevada's. Out of all the water in Nevada, Leo, if we look at call it 100%, what percent of what's available is used by all the people in Nevada and all their homes and all the businesses? What percent would you guess?
For Nevada?
All our water that's used by everybody, watering their lawns, washing their dishes, taking their baths, all that stuff, is 17%
Wow.
of our water. Now, ask me who uses 70% of our water. Ag. And so you can't cut off the lifeblood of a company. But so you look at it. So we called experts at the University of Wichita, I think, or Kansas, and we talked to people from Israel where they're growing it in deserts. And they said, with simple adjustments to not doing the flooding on this with things like alfalfa and whatnot, not flooding field, using available technology, they could cut that 70% down to 30% or less. And can you imagine? So if we did that in Nevada would all of a sudden, instead of a deficit, we'd have a 40% surplus to work with. And so I don't know the situation in California, but it'd certainly be interesting to look into.
Amen.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's definitely going to be a heck of a lot, even though we got a lot of people. We need to have that water. I mean, right now, our farmers are only allowed to have 1.65 cubic feet per acre. And it's not efficient. It's not enough. We need a lot more because citrus takes 2.25 cubic feet per acre to maintain. That's just sustain, not thrive. And then almonds require 4.5 cubic feet per acre. So clearly it's inefficient amounts, and these farmers are being choked to death. And what happens is you have folks that have been farming a hell of a lot longer than I was. They've been here 5, 6, 7 generations farming in California, and they got 20, 50, 100, 200 acres. But when they don't have enough water for their crops, unfortunately, what happens is they have no choice but to close down and sell off their land to some big megacorp or China, worse than anything, China buying up the land like that. So
the heartbreaking thing, Leo, is driving up the 5, and when you used to go up there on both sides, it was just loaded with lush ag, and you go up there now, and what do you see? In piles of dead trees that have been bulldozed into piles because they can't get the water.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's not like a light switch. It's not like you just turn it off, turn it on. It's for these trees to become mature to produce actual fruit or nuts, it takes 5 to 10 years for that to take place.
Wow.
So
you mean it would take like 5 to 10 years for an almond tree to produce?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
wow.
It just really depends on the tree and how it's being properly cared for. I mean, if you put it under a lot of stress with limiting its water, I'm sure that it's going to take longer to get it to mature levels. So
the good news. Paul just whispered to me. He said, "Hey, do you mind if I come on the show tomorrow?" I said, "Yeah, we do. We don't know if we'll have Leo or not."
I'd love it. I'd love for you guys to do that. I can't guarantee I'm going to be there, but I want to, we got about a minute left. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been getting involved in the show and watching. Sorry for being, in the car and having technical difficulties. The good thing I got 2 different phones with 2 different carriers, so I can switch between who's got the better system. That's what I've been doing. I've been playing. AT&T goes down, the Verizon's up. The Verizon goes down, the AT&T goes up. It's
great idea.
But I got to get Patriot Mobile, and I think all of you guys should too. But
I do too.
We are unfortunately out of time, so thank you again. This has been America Matters with Leo Zaki, Paul White, and Eddie Floyd. Don't forget, folks, we got the power to change this country and take it back. It's not that hard. It just takes common sense and leadership and a plan, and a damn good one. And I've got that. So to learn more, do as Paul said, go to leozaki.com. Check out my videos and follow me at Leo S. Zaki on Instagram. I'm posting there every day, and more great videos are to come. We'll see you soon. Have a great rest of your day.
Great, Leo. You have a great day yourself, and thank you for a wonderful show.